This is episode 7 of Offroad Independence. This podcast is brought to you by beginnersfab.com, the site that teaches you how to make useful, interesting, and creative things with basic tools. Think you don't have the fabrication tools necessary to make what you need? Think again. beginnersfab.com. Been thinking about customizing your rig? Check out Dixie Customs Welding and Fabrication. You can reach them by phone at 806-517-0415, or you can also reach them through email at dixiejeeper@att.net. This is Offroad Independence, the podcast that talks about trail repair, vehicle modification, and gear selection, helping you become more independent in your off-road adventures. Hey, and welcome back to Off-Road Independence. Today I'm here with Kerry Sharon. We're going to talk a little bit today about some different aspects of off-roading. And of course, as always, we're just going to have a nice little chat here and talk about off-roading in general. So, we're going to get on started here, and I'd like to kind of ask Kerry first off, what kind of vehicles have you had in your lifetime as far as off-road vehicles go?
Well, actually, it kind of started with a 1981 Toyota pickup truck. I guess for you guys, they call them a Hilux. It's just your standard four-wheel drive 20R 5-speed. You know, when I bought it, it had already been, it had a 4-inch lift kit on it, 33-inch tires. And honestly, other than, a few major, body styling changes, paint, different seats, that kind of stuff. I really didn't change it a lot in about the 4 or 5 years that I had it, and that little Toyota kind of is really what started it all off for me. And God, that's been 25 years ago, I guess.
Wow, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I put more miles on that thing, I think, than any other vehicle I've ever owned. But I've had probably 3 or 4 different Toyota pickups. I've got, let's see, right now I actually have about 4 Jeeps, and I have my Isuzu Trooper, and I've got a Toyota 4Runner. But I've had 3 Grand Cherokees. I've had CJ5s, CJ7s. I had a Suzuki Samurai for a small amount of time, which I'll be honest with you, it's not the most capable rig, but it is absolutely it's like driving a go-kart. It is so much fun to drive.
It's funny that you say that. One thing that's funny is that I always defend the Samurais because I had one, and I find that they're like super capable rigs, but everybody tells me I'm an idiot, and they're not. What made you think that the Samurai wasn't so capable?
Well, it's not really that it wasn't capable. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, everywhere the one I had, we did a bring under with like a 4-inch lift, so it had like 3-1-inch tires. So it was extremely capable off-road. It's just that it's so small in size that it's one of those deals where you kind of have to tow it if you're going to go on a 4 or 5 day trip, because if you take any body or a cooler with you, you're pretty much out of space after that. And that's and when I was younger, hey, a 6-pack of beer and a shotgun and I'm good. I mean, I really didn't need much. I could sleep on the hood, right on the dirt. Didn't make any difference. But I find as I get older, I'm not really so much into the glamping so much with, the trailers and all the rooftop tents and stuff, but I really like taking a lot more stuff than I used to. So one of the reasons why I've progressed from the smaller, take the tops off, really tiny bodied, short wheelbase vehicles such as the Jeeps, the Samurais and stuff like that, into the Grand Cherokees and the Dodge Ram Chargers, and like and now into the Trooper, is it just gives me so much more space to put stuff and not have to worry about cramming everybody in there with it.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I will say this: the samurais are really capable as far as what I see, being able to go out places. But you're right. I mean, on the all the samurais here, they have a sticker that says 250 kilogram max, which is about 500 pounds. And honestly, three small adults or two normal size large adults are maxing out, and you actually will bottom out on those things. Plus, the one difference here is that in Chile they actually they sold the samurais up until 2002. So there was what they called a Samurai 2, and it actually had coil springs on the front and rear, just like the Vitaras do.
Oh wow, that actually sounds like a pretty neat. Well, you guys get, that's the one thing I never really could quite understand about the United States. We get a lot of the aftermarket that is amazing, but the stuff from the factory is kind of mediocre, whereas you guys suffer with not being able to get a hold of the aftermarket as well as we do. But your stock stuff from the factory is extremely amazing stuff with the Hilux diesels and because you guys can get all the trooper diesels and stuff that we can't get.
Yeah, a lot of that's true for a lot of stuff. However, and just to kind of clarify, here in Chile, actually, the diesel troopers did not come. My trooper that I have is actually diesel because we did the conversion. They sold a number of the box trucks here that had the 2.8 or the 4J, what is it, 4BJ1T motor in it. But the Hiluxes and that kind of stuff, yes, you're right. They come in diesel. In fact, they actually had a Samurai that was diesel here, but it was a horrible diesel. It came with like a Citron motor or something like that, and it was, I mean, really bad. And then, yeah, like a bunch of the Mitsubishis, the L200s, that kind of stuff, they all come with diesel motors in them as well. So there is a bit of that, but aftermarket parts are somewhere between 2 and 3 times the cost here in Chile as what they are in the States.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been hearing, and I've actually heard that from people in Chile. I've heard it from people in New Zealand. I've heard it from people in the UK that have said the same things. So obviously our aftermarket is way better being in the United States. I think there's a market for it, but I just don't think the demand is high enough in other states or in other countries for us to export it, because I think it's like with you guys, what you were saying, it's really expensive. It is 2 or 3 times as much to get the same thing that we can get up here for, I mean, I can drive down to the local 4-wheel drive shop and pick it up for $100. It's going to cost you guys $250 or $300, and it's going to take weeks to get it.
Yeah, in fact, when I bought, well, just so everybody knows that's listening to this episode, the reality is I have a Daihatsu as well. It's a 4-track Rugger F73, whatever you want to call it. And I'm doing a conversion on it from 4-link to 3-link in the rear. And I bought some polyurethane bushings, and I also bought some what are those things called? Cartridge joints or flex bushings, whatever you want to call them. And I bought those from a small company in Utah, which I really like, called Summit Machine. And they took around 8 weeks to get here. And it cost me around 40% of the purchase price just in shipping and tax to get them here. And then they didn't have the socket ball races in stock at that moment, so they sent me some temporary ones that worked out well for the moment, and then they sent me the replacement ones, and they got lost in the mail, so I didn't get them for like 6 months.
Oh my Lord, that is that's actually kind of scary. Is and I'm wondering, is a lot of the stuff the reason why you guys get such big delays? Is it an issue with customs, or is it an issue with freight companies?
You know how it is. It's both. I mean, customs is always a holdup. Honestly, U.S. mail can be a holdup sometimes, and I'm not dogging them. It's just the fact that all of those companies, UPS, FedEx, all the kind of service companies, they have those conveyor belts, and from time to time, stuff gets stuck. It gets thrown off by accident, or it gets misplaced, or it's just human error a lot of times. But then there is the whole import custom side, and since Chile has really taken to trying to be the most advanced South American country, they have much more sophisticated customs and that kind of stuff than the other countries do typically. And therefore there are more rules, there are more laws, there's more people that the paperwork has to go through and that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess that makes sense. It's just, man, it just seems so weird to hear, I can go on the internet on my phone in my living room and buy, the same ball joints and the same flex joints that you get, and literally by Monday afternoon they're in the mail, and by Friday I'll have them. It's just so weird, the concept of time between here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of how life is here, and you learn to adapt to it to some degree. At the same time, I'm not going to lie, it is kind of difficult. I get frustrated. Just one fine example of this is, at one time I owned a Nissan D21, or what was called the hard bodies in the States, and mine was a crew cab. And I went to the store to buy the front sway bar bushings for the front sway bar, and they didn't have them in stock. Now, that part was like $1 literally, but it takes me around 2 hours from my house to get to town and back round trip, plus the time in the store. And so I had to order them. They had to receive them in, and I had to go back and get them, and it cost me, because diesel here is expensive, it cost me around $30 maybe, $20 maybe in total, to pick up $1 part, because they didn't have it in stock.
Wow, that's crazy. I can only imagine what your diesel prices are. I mean, compared to what it is here. I mean, because I know Canada is a lot different. They're a lot higher. I know several people in British Columbia that they buy theirs by the liter, and it's almost as much by the liter as it is for us by the gallon. So I could only imagine what it's like for you guys.
Yeah, ours isn't that high here. We pay, I mean, it is higher than in the States. We pay around $6, I want to say $5.80, something like that, per gallon of diesel in Chile. And 50% of that cost is a government tax on it, because they use it to pave roads and that kind of stuff. And for that same reason, though, a lot of the dirt roads and gravel roads that existed in like really, really rural areas are starting to disappear.
So you're obviously, your highways are getting upgraded. So I mean, obviously there's good. At least your government's not corrupt enough to where they're stealing the money. So they're actually using it to improve the roads and help out the public and stuff. So at least it's going to good use anyway.
I can tell you from living out in the rural area, there are places. Well, I'll just give you an example. There's a place that's like 3 hours from my house, and they had around 100, maybe 200 families that lived up in the mountains, on the Andes Mountains near Argentina, and they had no road system at all. It was literally, till about a year ago, just getting up there on foot or on horseback. And finally, they're getting a very small 1-lane road that the government has started to build them.
Wow, that's got to be a huge improvement, though.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't have energy. They don't have electricity up there. They still have outhouses, a lot of them. They don't have electricity. They run on generators, and they don't have cell phones up there. They just use high, like industrial style walkie-talkies.
Oh, okay. So they're like way out in the sticks.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too far from my house, really, but yeah, it's out in the sticks. I mean, it's beautiful country, though, I got to say that, and it makes for interesting off-roading. Kerry, it's been a real pleasure talking to you about all this stuff, about all your vehicles and stuff you've used. So I really want to thank you for being on the show with us. I see here that we have material for at least 2 shows, so everybody can at least expect a second part. And I hope to have you on the show with me on Off-Road Independence real soon. Why don't you go ahead and give us your web address for your custom fabrication? I know you at least have a Facebook. Is that your only web, or do you have another site?
Actually, the one I have on Facebook is the Dixie Custom Welding and Fabrication. That's the only one I have. We used to have a website before, but if you want to, you can email me. My email address is DIXIEJEEPER at AT&T.net. It's Dixie Jeeper at AT&T.net. If you want to send me pictures of stuff that you've gotten hung up on, have ideas about stuff, get stuck somewhere, have anything, just basically, I'm more than willing and able to help anybody, and advice is always free.
All right, man. Thanks. And if anybody didn't get that, in case the internet broke up a little bit, that's Dixie, DIXIE, Jeeper, JEEPER at AT&T.net. Is that right, Kerry?
Yes, that's right.
All right. So I'll put that, and I'll make sure that I put his email address and the Facebook group page or the Facebook page in a link on the offroadindependence.com homepage, and I'll actually put some stuff up in the Beginners Fab page as well on both beginnersfab.com and in Facebook. Please don't forget to stop by. Make sure that you listen to the Off-Road Independence podcast at offroadindependence.com. Also, please make sure you're stopping by beginnersfab.com, because by supporting one or both, you're supporting me to be able to continue with this project, with these podcasts and these videos. And I hope to be around for a long time to come. And so once again, Kerry, thanks for being here with us, and we look forward to having you on the show again.